former NFL player.
Hey, good day, YouTube. Out for a lunchtime drive, and we've had some pretty impressive wet weather here the last day or so. You don't see very often around here, so we got to share that with you. You don't see the cloud full of skies like this, except in the winter usually, and in this time of spring where we get some rain. So as we do our lunchtime chat, kind of enjoy the clouds, the real clouds, instead of some of the fake ones. But it's been getting nice to get some wet weather. DJ, this will be coming your way, I'm sure, the next day and a half, 2 days, and expect it to stay for 3 days, because we have definitely gotten some wet weather out of this. It rained non-stop for about probably a good 20 hours yesterday, which we need for sure. Snow level was at about 5,000 feet, 5,500 feet yesterday. I think it pushed up last night to closer to 8,000. These mountains, snow's already gone. There was snow up here yesterday. So yeah, it's pushed up a little bit. But it was good to get snow up high, and all the weather's all good. But there's always a but, right? The signs are not looking good. I mean, I think they touched on it on the Dragon last night. What are the signs? What's it all mean? And is it the end times? Is what they're getting to in particular. And I know we can't predict that. But it just keeps picking up. And this, in particular on our radar out here, 500,000 acres set aside just by signing a document. But it's just, that's the tyranny of it all. So New Mexico, I know there's a lot of angst, and a lot of people don't appreciate it, like it. You need to find a way to reject it. And we're here for you. I know all the local sheriffs are against it for various reasons. The local representatives seem to be coming out against it, but yet in the article it says there was a grassroots movement to get this done. And I guess the grassroots movement was for 54,000 acres to be approved as a monument of some type, which that's what the locals want. They kind of wanted a set-aside place. And I'm looking, it's like, why shouldn't the state just do that, right? State legislature, set aside a state park, boom, problem solved. Oh, no. This is public land, so it's got to go through the federal government. And it didn't even go through the federal government. It went through a single office in a single building, and it gets signed off on. That is just, if that doesn't go to show people how, Congress doesn't have the authority to set aside land like that, and they somehow abdicate that authority over to the executive. Where does that come from? It comes from nowhere. They assign it to themselves. It's tyranny. Very frustrating. It's on a scale worse than what happened at the Bundy Ranch, only because they're stealing it from all the people of New Mexico, and not just stealing the property of one individual. So I don't know, people in New Mexico, get something together, make a plan. We'll be there to support you. Come to help out, do whatever. But it's there, and I think it's deliberately trying to rub it in our face that they think, or they believe they can do whatever they want, and we don't have enough to stop it. Because that land belongs to New Mexico, and whatever you want to do to stand up to that, put something together. Let's do it. It's got to go happen now. I know there's local leaders on board. It's on a scale greater, but it's a scale easier because you have a lot more representation, a lot more officials behind it, or against it, I should say, that are behind resisting it. So it's on a scale that you need that to help resist that as well. So it's just absurd, the notion that they could just write that into a law, or it's not a law. They write it into a document. I mean, the absurdity of it all. And even if it was, I mean, I don't know why it needs to be a national anything. People of Connecticut and Florida and Tennessee and Minnesota have no business dealing in New Mexico's business of land in their area. They just don't. And just like we don't have shouldn't have the same say over any lands in those areas. So I think it was, increased in size on purpose. Who knows what they'll try to set aside, and it follows the whole Agenda 21 agenda, the whole Agenda 21 layout map of reducing the footprint, because this is going to be set aside. A large portion of the monument is set aside for the wilderness area, which is basically will be untouched. So that's concerning. It is straight out of the Agenda 21 playbook. So there's a lot of signs going on out there, for sure. There was a statement to segue. There was a statement in the announcement for this national monument that it would bring X millions of dollars of economic impact to the area, which is a joke. And listening to the local sheriffs, the conduit that'll cause of illicit drug traffic and illegal trafficking across the border through that area will probably negate any beneficial impact it might have of tourism. But I guess America will just become a tourist nation. Everybody will come to America to see all the wild places, because we have no place where people can live or produce or be productive on, farm, ranch, do things productive with the land, mining, and everything else. We won't be able to do that anymore. We'll just set it all aside and be a tourist nation. People from around the world can come tour here, I guess. I guess that's their economic plan, because that's the only thing they're following as far as economic development, because the economy is falling on its face. Federal Reserve came out with a statement yesterday. They had a meeting and whatnot. Not sure which of the nature. It wasn't the Open Market Committee, but not going to raise interest rates just yet, which of course they can't, because that'll just totally derail the economy and what's left of it as far as productivity goes. And they're going to continue to taper as the stock market struggles along. If you look at a Dow Jones chart, it hit the all-time high a couple weeks back or whatever. But it's just been straight. It's basically a trend. It's just left or right. It's not going up or down now. It's just kind of going sideways. It has big swings, 100 points up, 100 points down day to day, but it's a sideways movement because of all the uncertainty and the amount of drugs. It's just like an irregular heartbeat on a drug addict. The drugs of the stimulus is getting taken away, and it's going to get worse as more of that stimulus is taken away from the patient, if you will. So that's going to definitely impact things as far as the market goes, and the regular economy just can't get on board because there's nothing out there. There was a story yesterday about kids coming out of college can't afford to get a house. The traditional first-time house buyer has went away because they have student loans, because college costs too much, because the federal government subsidizes it, which that's my own commentary, but talking about how people weren't buying homes coming out of college because of all the student debt, and they weren't qualifying, as well as they weren't in a place where they felt they were uncertain about all the debt they were in already. Because, you come out of college with almost $100,000 in debt, you get a $45,000 a year job. You want to rack up a $250,000 house mortgage? Probably not what most people want to do. Not to mention car loan or whatever. So the people are in a hurt locker. and there's concerns because the housing market is going to start stalling because those first-time home buyers aren't buying, and housing starts were up one month and down the other. I think it was flip-flopped. So that was a big issue they talked about. There's some odd numbers in the building of houses going on. So, yeah, all the signs as far as what's going on, we're turning over our sovereignty to the rest of the world, and our economy is in the doldrums, and the only thing that's keeping us afloat is we're subjecting everybody else's economy is suppressed. The strength of the dollar is manipulated in a way to keep us on top. And how much longer is it going to last? I don't know, but it can't last. 10 years, 5 years. I'm surprised it didn't. Know what I know now. It's like, how did it last this long? And it's a false sense of security for a lot of people. Is that reason for the most part? We're relying on faith of the average American and the average debt owner, the people that own the debt of America. We're relying on their faith to keep the strength of the dollar up, and of course that being pegged to the barrel of oil makes a big difference. So the signs are out there. Things are coming in fast. Land grabs, federal control, the additional arming of the U.S. Forest Service order last week. That's been well reported. Other things just going on. Continue to hear stories. There's just lots of what you would call, I guess, super constitutional actions by the feds. And you're just like, how did it get to this point? And they're just so large and so out of scale. You just don't roll it back. You can't it's got to be cut off. It's got to be ended. Because rolling back, this is not the nature of those type of structures. And it's going to be painful either way. So, big shout out to Wild Iron Horseman and Tactical Tony making it back out to the ranch last weekend. That was awesome. Good footage, Tony. I wanted to make it out there again this month, but it looks like I'm planning for next month. Trying to put together the days and everything to plan it out. Hopefully bring a couple people along with, and make it a several-day trip down there in the middle of June sometime. That middle 2 weeks of June. So we'll get back down to the ranch and just support and see what's going on, do a little reporting and whatnot, but continue to support. Obviously, people that are not from the western region need to get back home and take care of their areas, and we want to send them back that way. We want to do as much internal in-house as we can. So this New Mexico thing, support your local sheriffs, people. Get out there and tell them you'll do what it takes. Had a discussion yesterday. We were talking about some things, and I was talking. It evolved around security in local communities, smaller towns, and having limited resources, and you don't have a lot of police presence. You have a sheriff's department. That's about it. And we were talking about businesses getting ransacked and stuff. And my fellow coworker who we've talked about before said, "Well, what about just locals volunteering, to help out." During this time, or if times are sketchy. And I'm like, and what do you call that? And I was like, quiz later today. And, and a local person volunteering to help provide security for an area is called the militia. I haven't got back around to him on that yet, but I thought that was a good learning point. You ask for exactly what is prescribed for. You're asking for the militia to come forward. That's exactly what that situation would call for when local business and stuff are getting ransacked, basically, is the scenario with from people, and you're talking about locals volunteering to help out. That is the militia, straight up. So that was an interesting chance for a learning point. So I don't know. That's it, YouTube. That's a good update. That's a lunchtime. It's a long lunchtime chat. Keep your eyes on the signs. Get out there, support your local security unit element. Volunteer, whether you call it a militia or not. Partner with your team, whatever it is. We got to band together because they're going to continue to try to divide us apart. And this land grab is going to continue. And I imagine get more forceful. So be good, YouTube. We'll talk to you later. Live free.